Sarah Martinez stood in the corner of the military training ground, her boots caked with mud and her uniform soaked with sweat. Around her, other recruits moved with ease, while she struggled with every movement. Sergeant Williams approached, his face stern. "Martinez, you're holding everyone back again." The other recruits glanced in her direction. "I can do better, sir," she replied, her voice steady despite trembling legs. He shook his head. "That's what you said last week. Some people just aren't cut out for this life." The words stung. Sarah had heard this her entire life. Growing up, she was the girl who couldn't throw a ball straight, picked last for every team. At 5 feet 3 inches and barely 110 pounds, she didn't look like a soldier. When she walked into the recruitment office at 18, the officer had been skeptical. "Are you sure about this? Maybe you should consider a civilian support role." Sarah had squared her shoulders. "I'm sure. I want to serve." Now, 3 months into basic training, she wondered if everyone had been right. The morning runs left her gasping while others barely broke a sweat. During combat drills, she was thrown to the ground repeatedly. The other recruits weren't cruel, but they worked around her, compensating for her weaknesses. She heard the whispers, "Why did they even let her in? She's going to get someone killed." Late at night, Sarah questioned herself. Maybe she was being selfish, clinging to an impossible dream. But every morning, she got up anyway. Somewhere deep inside, a stubborn spark refused to go out. The following Tuesday brought fitness evaluations. Sarah managed only 3 pull-ups when 8 were required. That evening, she was called to the commander's office. Major Richards sat behind his desk with her file open. "Sit down, Martinez." She perched on the chair's edge. "You're consistently in the bottom 5%. You failed to meet minimum standards in multiple areas." "I know, sir, but I'm improving. I'm getting stronger. Are you?" He leaned back. "We need to invest in candidates with realistic chances of success." "I can do this, sir. I'm dedicated." "I won't give up," he sighed. "Dedication isn't always enough. Think seriously about whether this is the right path." Sarah left feeling crushed. Back in the barracks, she stared at her grandfather's photograph in his army uniform, medals gleaming. He had been the only one who didn't doubt her. "Don't let anyone tell you what you can't do, Sarah girl," he had said from his wheelchair. "The bravest people aren't always the biggest or strongest. They're the ones who refuse to quit." He had died 2 months before she left for basic training. Sarah had promised at his grave to make him proud. Now that promise felt impossible to keep. The next weeks blurred together. Sarah pushed herself harder, staying late for extra exercises, running additional laps, studying tactics until her eyes burned. One night, Jackson, a top performer, stopped by her bunk. "Hey, Martinez." "I respect what you're doing. Most people would have quit." His words meant something. "Thanks. Just trying to keep up. You've got more heart than half the people here. That counts for something." After he left, Sarah smiled slightly. Maybe heart did count. But doubt continued to shadow her. The whispers didn't stop. Every failure was noted, every struggle observed. The turning point came on a gray Thursday morning. The recruits assembled for a tactical simulation exercise. They would be divided into teams and given complex scenarios combining physical challenges with strategic thinking. Sarah was assigned to a team with Marcus, who openly considered her dead weight. He rolled his eyes at the roster. Each team received a map, encrypted instructions, and obstacles to overcome against the clock. "Great," Marcus muttered. "We're starting from behind." Sarah focused on the map. Something felt wrong. "Wait, these coordinates don't make sense. We'll end up doubling back." Marcus snatched the map. "You don't know what you're talking about." But Sarah had spent countless hours studying maps. "Look at Checkpoint 3. It's north of Checkpoint 4, but the route goes south first. It's inefficient." Chen, another team member, leaned over. "She might be right. That would add 10 minutes. Team leader Davis studied the map. "Martinez, you're sure?" If she was wrong, she would confirm everyone's worst opinions. "I'm sure. If we adjust the route, we can save time." Davis decided. "All right, we'll try Martinez's route." They set off. Sarah struggled with the wall obstacle, needing a boost from Chen. Marcus's frustration was obvious. But when they reached checkpoint 3, Sarah's instincts proved correct. They arrived before other teams. "Looks like someone actually read the map correctly," the instructor said. "Most teams fall for the misdirection." The simulation continued. Sarah struggled physically but contributed in other ways. She spotted the code pattern for a locked container. Her attention to detail kept them safe through a mock minefield. They finished 3rd overall. For the first time, Sarah felt valuable. That evening, she received individual recognition for tactical analysis. Sergeant Williams called her aside. "Martinez, you showed something today. Still not convinced your soldier material, but that was good thinking." It was the closest thing to praise she had received. The following weeks brought subtle changes. Sarah still struggled physically, but occasionally someone asked her opinion on tactical problems. She discovered talents in code breaking and pattern recognition. She carved out a niche, finding ways to contribute beyond physical strength. But doubts never disappeared. For every small victory, failures remained. The gap between her abilities and minimum standards stayed wide. Major Richards called another meeting. "You've shown improvement in certain areas. Your tactical scores are impressive." Paused. "However, you're still failing minimum physical standards. What happens if we graduate you and lives depend on physical capability you can't deliver?" "Sir, there are military roles where analytical skills matter more than physical strength. Those positions still require basic fitness. Every soldier needs minimum standards." Sarah felt something break inside. This was the end of her dream. "I'm not deciding today," he continued, "but seriously consider whether continuing is in your best interest. You have valuable skills. Maybe the military isn't the only place to use them." Sarah left in a daze. She walked to a quiet corner and sat against a concrete wall. She thought about her grandfather, about all who had doubted her. For the first time, she seriously considered quitting. Not because she wanted to, but because everyone seemed certain it was right. Stars emerged overhead. She remembered her grandfather's words from a month before he died. The hardest part of war wasn't the combat or fear. It was the doubt. Wondering if you were strong enough, if you mattered. How did you deal with it? He had smiled sadly. You don't make it go away. You just keep moving forward despite it. That's courage, Sarah girl. Not the absence of doubt, but the decision to act anyway. Sarah returned to the barracks with renewed determination. She wasn't ready to quit yet. As long as she had the choice, she would keep showing up. The next morning brought a surprise. A delegation of high-ranking officers arrived at the base. Rumors spread quickly about inspections and congressional visits. Sarah was doing equipment maintenance when Sergeant Williams appeared, his expression strange. "Martinez, you're wanted at the command building." Now, her heart sank. They were dismissing her before important visitors saw her failures. She followed him across the base to a conference room filled with high-ranking officers around a table covered with maps. "At ease, Martinez," said Colonel Peterson, whose uniform bore numerous decorations. "I understand you're having difficulties with physical requirements." Sarah's face burned. "Yes, sir. I'm working to improve. I've reviewed your file. Your physical scores are below standard. However, your tactical scores are remarkably high. Top of your class? You identified a flaw in our simulation that most instructors missed." Sarah blinked, uncertain. "I just read the map carefully, sir." Captain Morris stepped forward. "I'm from military intelligence reviewing recruits for particular skill sets. Your name came up repeatedly." He spread a map on the table. "This is from a real operation 2 years ago. Tell me what you see." Sarah studied the map carefully. After a few minutes, she spoke hesitantly. "This supply line looks vulnerable. The terrain forces it through this valley where a small force could cut it off. And the main force assumes the enemy approaches from the east, but if they have intelligence, they'd circle south. Response time would be too slow. How would you address that?" Sarah traced routes. "Move a defensive unit here watching the southern approach. Reinforce the supply line with regular patrols." Silence followed. Captain Morris spoke quietly. "In the actual operation, We didn't take those precautions. The enemy did exactly what you predicted. We lost supplies and 3 soldiers. Sarah felt cold. Real soldiers. Real consequences. Colonel Peterson picked up a document. Martinez, there's a specialized program for intelligence and tactical analysis. Physical requirements are different, tailored to different work. The emphasis is on mental acuity, pattern recognition, strategic thinking. Why are you telling me this, sir? Because we'd like to transfer you to that program. You'd join a specialized course at another facility. Still military service, still demanding, but focused on your actual strengths. Sarah's mind reeled. This was her chance to serve, to prove her value. But something held her back. Sir, I don't want special treatment. I came here to complete basic training like everyone else. This isn't special treatment. It's effective personnel management. The military needs people suited for different roles. You've been trying to fit into a role that doesn't match your strengths. What about the other recruits? They'll think I couldn't hack it. Do you care what they think? Captain Morris challenged. Or do you care about serving your country effectively? The question cut through her doubts. Why had she enlisted? For respect or to genuinely serve? I need to think about this, sir. Colonel Peterson nodded. You have 24 hours. But understand, this isn't a consolation prize. The program is highly selective. We're recognizing that you already meet the standards that matter for this role. That evening, Sarah talked to Jackson. She explained the offer, expecting him to see it as failure. Instead, he smiled. That's amazing. They're saying you have talents most soldiers don't. Why wouldn't you use them? But I'm failing here. It feels like giving up. Giving up would be quitting entirely. This is choosing a different path. I'm good at physical stuff, but put me with tactical maps and I'm lost. We can't all be good at everything. The military needs different people. Sarah spent the evening wrestling with her decision. She thought about her grandfather, an infantry soldier who always respected intelligence officers and analysts. Bravery comes in many forms, he had told her. Sometimes the bravest thing is using your mind when everyone expects you to prove yourself with your body. By midnight, Sarah decided she would accept the transfer. Not because it was easier, but because it made sense. The military was offering her a chance to serve effectively using her actual strengths. Continuing to fight physical limitations wasn't courage, it was pride. The next morning she reported her decision. Colonel Peterson explained the next steps. The transfer would take a few days. She would need security clearance with a thorough background check. The next days passed strangely. Sarah continued training, but everyone knew she was leaving. Some congratulated her, others seemed resentful. Marcus barely spoke. But on the 3rd day, everything changed. Sarah was in training when Sergeant Williams appeared, his face pale. Martinez, drop everything and come with me now. The urgency alarmed her. She followed him to a secured communications center. Inside, Captain Morris waited with several officers and 2 civilians with the bearing of intelligence agents. Sit down, Martinez, Captain Morris said, his calm cracked. We have a serious situation. A woman with iron gray hair stepped forward. I'm Agent Crawford, FBI. 2 days ago, we received intelligence about a planned attack on a military convoy. The intercepted communication is partially encrypted. We've been working to decode it, but time is running out. We have partial information, Crawford continued. The target, the time frame, is within 72 hours. And the method involves an IED. What we don't know is the exact location. The convoy route covers 300 miles with multiple ambush points. Captain Morris leaned forward. The intercept includes a coded reference to the attack location. Our cryptography team is stuck. Colonel Peterson suggested you might see something they're missing. Sarah's mouth went dry. This was real, with real lives at stake. Sir, I'm just a recruit. Surely experienced analysts. We have experienced analysts working on this, Crawford interrupted. They've made progress, but we're out of time. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps. They showed her the intercepted message with partial translations. One phrase had stumped everyone. Eagle's shadow at the third crossing. The convoy crosses several rivers and roads, Captain Morris explained with a map. We think crossing refers to one of these points, but we don't know which or what Eagle's shadow means. Sarah stared at the map and message. Something nagged at her. Can I see the original coded message again? She studied the letter sequences carefully. Then she noticed something. The letters spelling eagle weren't consistent with the substitution pattern used elsewhere. This word, she pointed, it's using a different cipher. What if it's not actually saying eagle? The lead cryptographer frowned. We checked that. The pattern translates to eagle. But what if there are multiple layers? What if they use different patterns for keywords? Crawford and Morris exchanged glances. Show us. Sarah worked through alternative patterns for 20 minutes. Then she found it. What if eagle is actually tower? There's a fire lookout tower here. She pointed at the map near the second crossing. The shadow at noon would fall across the road, creating a perfect ambush point. Everyone studied the map. The lieutenant checked her work. His eyes widened. It fits. The phrase makes more sense. Tower's shadow at the third hour, 3 p.m., when the convoy passes through. Captain Morris grabbed a phone. Get me the convoy commander now. The next hour blurred with activity. The convoy route was altered, avoiding the identified ambush point. An explosive ordnance team was dispatched to search the original location. Sarah sat in a corner feeling disconnected. Had she really helped prevent an attack? Or was it a lucky guess? 3 hours later, confirmation arrived. The EOD team found the IED exactly where Sarah predicted. It was sophisticated, capable of destroying the convoy. They disabled it safely. Crawford approached Sarah, respect in her stern eyes. Good work, Martinez. You may have saved a dozen lives today. Sarah could only nod, overwhelmed. Colonel Peterson arrived an hour later. He found Sarah in the mess hall with coffee, trying to process everything. Martinez, that was exceptional work. What you did exceeded all expectations. I just saw a pattern, sir, but they didn't. You did. In time to matter? That's not luck. That's skill. He paused. I need to tell you something. Your transfer has been accelerated. Given today's events, people in Washington want you in that intelligence program immediately. You leave tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. Sarah's mind spun. There's something else, Peterson continued seriously. The president has been briefed on today's incident. He wants to personally thank the person whose analysis prevented the attack. Sarah's eyes widened. The president? You'll receive a call from the White House this evening. Be ready. Colonel Peterson led Sarah to a small office with a secure phone on the desk. The call comes through in 15 minutes, he said. I'll give you privacy. Be respectful, honest, and yourself. That's all he's asking. Colonel left. Sarah sat alone with the intimidating black phone. Her hands shook. The girl who couldn't make it through basic training was about to speak with the president. The phone rang sharply. Sarah picked up on the second ring. Private Martinez. Yes, this is Private Martinez. Please hold for the president. A brief pause, then a familiar voice came through, warm and genuine. Private Martinez, this is President Harrison. I wanted to personally thank you for your outstanding work today. Sarah's mind went blank. Thank you, Mr. President. I was just doing what I could to help, sir. From what I've been told, you did considerably more. Colonel Peterson and Agent Crawford briefed me. Your analysis likely saved 12 soldiers' lives and prevented significant military loss. That's not a small thing. I'm grateful I could help, sir. Those soldiers and their families are why I enlisted. To make a difference, and you have, the president said. I understand you've had difficulties in basic training. That the physical requirements have been challenging. Sarah felt embarrassed that the president knew about her failures. Yes, sir. I've been working to improve, but it's been difficult. Let me tell you something, Private Martinez. I've been in leadership positions most of my adult life. One thing I've learned is that true leadership means recognizing different people bring different strengths. The military needs strong soldiers who can carry heavy packs. But it also needs brilliant analysts who can see patterns others miss, who solve puzzles that save lives. Sarah fought back tears. I've been told you're transferring to a specialized intelligence program. I want you to know I fully support that decision. You're not taking an easier path. You're taking the right path where you can serve most effectively. Never let anyone make you feel that's second best. Thank you, sir, Sarah whispered, her voice thick with emotion. That means more than I can say. Keep up the excellent work. Your country is proud of you, and I'm proud of you. I have a feeling we'll be hearing great things about your career in years to come. I'll do my best, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Stay safe. In private, call your mother. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. Sarah smiled through her tears. I will, sir. Call ended. Sarah sat holding the phone, trying to process what happened. The president had thanked her, had told her she was on the right path. Colonel Peterson returned. Good call. Yes, sir. Very good call. The rest of the evening blurred. Sarah packed, completed paperwork, and attended a brief orientation about the intelligence program. She would train at a facility in Virginia, alongside specialists in cryptography and tactical analysis. When she returned to the barracks, Jackson was still awake. You okay? People have been saying crazy things. Sarah sat on her bunk. I can't go into details, but I helped with something important today. Tomorrow, I'm transferring. Jackson grinned. I knew it. I told Marcus you'd do something amazing. Thank you for believing in me when most people didn't. You made it easy. You never gave up, even when everything was against you. That's what the military needs. Sarah called her mother. Despite the late hour, she knew her mom would want to hear from her. Sarah, is everything okay? Everything's fine, Mom. Better than fine. I have news. Sarah explained about the transfer, careful to avoid classified details. Her mother's voice shifted from concern to pride. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You found your place. I got a call today, Mom, from President Harrison. Stunned silence. The president. Sarah, what happened? I can't tell you everything, but I did something that helped people. And the president wanted to thank me personally. Her mother's voice cracked. Oh, Sarah, your grandfather would be so proud. Think he knows, Sarah said softly, looking at his photo. I think somehow he knows. They talked for 20 more minutes before saying goodnight. Sarah lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the incredible journey. She had believed she needed to prove herself by meeting the same standards as everyone else. She had pushed to the breaking point, trying to be something she wasn't. In the end, she found value not by overcoming her limitations, but by embracing her strengths. The next morning, Sarah stood in formation one last time. Major Richards addressed the group and asked her to step forward. Private Martinez is transferring to a specialized program. Yesterday, she made a significant contribution to military operations. The details are classified, but her analytical skills directly prevented casualties and protected military assets. She's an example of how the military needs different kinds of excellence. Sarah felt every recruit's eyes on her. Some looked impressed, others confused. But Marcus gave her a firm nod of respect. After formation, several recruits said goodbye. Chen shook her hand. Good luck, Martinez. We'll miss having you figure out the tactical puzzles. Even Marcus approached uncomfortably. I was wrong about you. You're going where you belong. Do good work. Thank you, Sarah said, meaning it. The drive to the new facility took most of the day. Sarah rode in a military transport van, watching the landscape change to highways and eventually a heavily secured compound in Virginia. Guards checked her credentials 3 times before allowing her through, Captain. Maurice met her at the entrance with Dr. Ellen Reyes, the program director. Welcome to the Strategic Intelligence Development Center. Private Martinez, Dr. Reyes said, shaking her hand. We've been expecting you. Your performance yesterday made quite an impression. They toured the facility, explaining the program structure. The center trained analysts in various intelligence disciplines. Students came from different military branches and civilian agencies. You'll be in an accelerated track, Dr. Reyes explained. Given your demonstrated aptitude and operational needs, we're placing you directly into advanced cryptanalysis courses. Sarah's dorm room was small but comfortable. She had a desk, a secure computer, and a window overlooking the training grounds. For the first time since enlisting, she didn't feel that constant inadequacy. The first week was intense. Sarah attended classes on advanced encryption pattern analysis and intelligence assessment. The instructors were former operatives, military intelligence officers, and professors. The other students were sharp and driven. For the first time, Sarah wasn't the struggling outlier. She was exactly where she belonged. During a cryptography exercise on her third day, Sarah worked with David Chen from the Navy. The instructor presented an intercepted message several teams had failed to decode. Sarah studied it for 20 minutes. It's using a polyalphabetic cipher, but the key changes based on position. Every seventh character uses a different substitution pattern. David whistled softly. That's brilliant. How did you see that? I don't know. I just look at patterns and they speak to me. The instructor examined Sarah's analysis. Outstanding, Private Martinez. This stumped 2 senior analysts for 3 days. You solved it in 20 minutes. Word spread about the new recruit who broke a complex code on her third day. Sarah found herself sought out for difficult problems. The other analysts treated her with respect, recognizing her gift. The real test came 3 weeks into training. Sarah was called to a secure briefing room where Captain Morris waited with military intelligence officers. Martinez, we have a situation. 3 days ago, one of our operatives in Eastern Europe missed a check-in. Yesterday, we received a cryptic message from an unknown source. Our team is stuck. Given your track record, we're bringing you in. They showed her the short message, just 2 lines of seemingly random characters. As Sarah studied it, she began seeing patterns, subtle irregularities, suggesting it wasn't truly random. Can I have files on previous communications from this region? And information about the operative's last known activities? They provided what they could. Sarah worked through the night, filling pages with notes and calculations. At 3 in the morning, it clicked. The message wasn't using a traditional cipher. It was steganographic code, hiding information in the apparent randomness itself. The specific characters, spacing, and apparent errors all contained meaning. She decoded it, compromised. Extraction point Delta, 48 hours. Sarah immediately called Captain Morris. She explained her findings. If I'm right, our operative is alive but in danger. They're asking for extraction at a predetermined location. We have less than 48 hours. Captain Morris studied her work, then grabbed a secure phone. Within the hour, the room filled with high-ranking officers reviewing Sarah's analysis. Plans were made, resources allocated. Sarah watched her work translate into real-world action. 2 days later, Captain Morris found Sarah in the cafeteria. The extraction was successful, he said quietly. Our operative is safe and en route home. Your analysis was correct in every detail. Once again, you've saved lives. Sarah felt the weight and satisfaction. This was why she had enlisted. Not to prove she could run as fast as others, but to serve, to contribute, to make a difference in ways that mattered. Over the following months, Sarah's reputation grew. She worked on dozens of cases, solving puzzles others couldn't. Crack. She wasn't always right. But she was right often enough that people trusted her instincts. 6 months after arriving, Sarah received orders to report to Dr. Reyes's office. She found not just the program director, but Colonel Peterson and other high-ranking officers. Private Martinez, Dr. Reyes began, your performance has been exceptional. You've successfully completed the advanced cryptanalysis. Programming contributed to 17 active operations, with a success rate exceeding analysts with years of experience. Colonel Peterson stepped forward. Martinez, we're offering you a permanent position in military intelligence. You'll be promoted to specialist and assigned to an operational analysis team. You'll work on real cases, providing intelligence support for ongoing operations. Sarah didn't hesitate. I accept, sir. Thank you. One more thing, Colonel Peterson said, pulling out a small box. For your actions preventing the convoy ambush, you're being awarded the Army Commendation Medal. The ceremony is next week. Sarah felt tears threatening. Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say. Your work speaks for itself. The medal ceremony was small but meaningful. Sarah's mother flew out along with Jackson, who had graduated. Basic training? As the medal was pinned to her uniform, Sarah thought about her grandfather and the promise at his grave. She had kept that promise, just not in the way she originally imagined. After the ceremony, Sarah stood with her mother in the autumn sunshine. "Your grandfather would burst with pride," her mother said, wiping her eyes. "You found where you belong." "I did. Just not where I thought it would be." She thought about those early days, the doubt and struggle and constant inadequacy. She thought about all who questioned whether she belonged. They hadn't been entirely wrong. She didn't belong in infantry or running obstacle courses, but she absolutely belonged in military intelligence, using her mind to solve problems that protected soldiers' lives. She belonged where pattern recognition and analytical thinking mattered more than physical strength. That evening, Sarah returned to her desk. A new case file waited, another puzzle to solve, another chance to serve. She opened it and began to read, her mind already engaging with the problem. Everyone had doubted her worth. They had looked at her small frame and struggling performance and concluded she didn't belong. In a way, they had been right about what she couldn't do, but they had been completely wrong about what she could. Sarah smiled as she worked, thinking about the phone call that stopped her training cold, the president's voice thanking her, telling her she was on the right path. She had found her place not by overcoming her weaknesses, but by embracing her strengths. Not by becoming someone else, but by becoming the best version of herself. She was serving her country, making a real difference, using her unique gifts to protect people she would never meet. And that was worth more than all the physical fitness tests in the world. She belonged here.